guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to bring you my weekly wrap-up. This week's reading was an interesting week. I started a new job, so I was a little busier than I'm accustomed to being. I had to study for my new job. I am taking a test tomorrow for my permit for my CDL, so I had to study quite a bit because there was a lot of terminology and things that I am just not familiar with, having never driven a large vehicle like that before. So I had to put in a lot more effort than I even thought I was going to have to put into in order to study to be prepared to take this test tomorrow. That being said, though, I was able to fit in, my reading for the week, all of my books. I didn't have a great reading week, however. There were 2 books that I really enjoyed, and the other 3 were just either okay or I didn't really like at all. So we will get into that in a minute. I did want to show you that I bought this reading log on Amazon. I think it was $5.99 or $6.99. It wasn't a lot of money. But what I really liked about it is I just wanted a place to hold all of my notes for all of the books that I read, so when I get to my weekly wrap-up, I don't forget what I was thinking at the time. So what I really like is that it's 1 page per book. There's not a ton of space. I mean, you can write a pretty good little review in there. I just kind of do pros and cons and whatever other little notes that I want. But you can fill this out, with publisher and how many pages there were, what genre there was, where did you get this book from, why did you want to read it, your ratings. So I just really love that. I also love that it came with this contents page that you could fill in yourself and create it for it. So when you're looking for a certain book, if you have multiples of these, you can just flip to the contents page and look and see instead of having to go through the entire book. I also found interesting that at the end, they have a list of recommended books. So I'm hoping one day to make my way sort of down this list. That would be really awesome. And at the back, there's just a page for general notes and also a loan record. I personally don't really loan out too many books, so I know where they are and with whom they are because I'm just kind of anal like that. But there is a record in case you do happen to loan out a lot of books. So I just thought that was interesting, and if anyone else wanted to grab one, it wasn't too much money. So as I do every week, I'm going to start with my lowest ranked books and work up to my highest ranked books. I had 3 3-star books, so I'm just going to start with this one. It just happened to be the one on the top, and that's Anyas Ghost by Vera Brosgol. This is a YA horror graphic novel. It was actually my first graphic novel ever. I mean, except for maybe children's graphic novels. I have read a few of those, like My Little Pony, and I want to say there was something else in there that I read. But I haven't had too much experience with graphic novels, so this was my first YA graphic novel. It is about a girl named Anya who happens to fall down a well and then meets a ghost while she is down there, and this ghost kind of sticks with her, and it's just her journey with that ghost. I enjoyed this book. It was a very quick read. I think I read it in maybe half an hour. It was a very easy read, so after my long week of studying, I actually enjoyed picking this up because it didn't take too much thought. I just was able to read it and enjoy it. I really liked these illustrations. I thought they were really good. As far as the arc of the overall story, the plot was average. The characters were quite simple. You knew where the story was going to go. There was nothing surprising about it. But as far as this being my first time with this medium, I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely be interested in trying out some more graphic novels. So I rated this, I don't know if I told you, 3 stars, but yeah, I don't know. It was okay. In my new reading log, though, I have taken to writing down the first sentence of every book, so I'm just going to read those at the end of each review. Some of them are quite good, other ones, but it'll maybe give you a little taste of the book. So this one, the first line in the graphic novel was, "What's for breakfast?" Thought that was cute. The next book that I read this week was Ferris Beach by Jill McCorkle. This was a coming-of-age story. It was okay. I rated it 3 stars. Maybe wasn't in the right mindset or just wasn't in the mood to deal with this sort of a book. It just had a plot that kind of wandered. It didn't stick through and keep my interest very well. It kind of would jump from point to point and past to future and past to present. It just wasn't my cup of tea. let's say. But maybe, like I said, it might have just been me because of how long my work week was, and I picked this up on Saturday after finishing the week. Maybe mentally I just was not ready for this type of book. I enjoyed the writing, I enjoyed some of the characters, so I would definitely try another book by Jill McCorkle. I wouldn't write her off or anything. I would definitely, in another time in my life when I'm a little bit more calm, I don't have quite so much going on, give her another chance. So the first sentence of that book was, our neighborhood was never the same after Misty Rhodes and her family moved in across the street. The next book that I read was Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendari Blake. I gave this book 3 stars. I don't have a copy of it right now because my teenage daughter actually has taken it with her to school to read, and I'm trying to fit this video in while they're in school. So I started this book and I was like, wow, this sounds exactly like a Supernatural episode. Someone else in the comments had informed me that it was like Supernatural, and I thought, oh, okay, it'll be sort of that formula. It was completely that formula for the book. It was like reading a Supernatural episode. It was so close that it kind of made me laugh. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I would want to read. So I made it about halfway through the book, and then I just gave it to my daughter to read because I wasn't interested in finishing it. Not that there was anything wrong with the actual story. The characters were likable. The story was, quite good for the intended audience. Obviously, I am not a 12, 13, 14-year-old reading this book. I am quite older, so for me it was just a little too simple. But my daughter, who started it last night, who is 13, absolutely is in love with it. She does see the similarities to Supernatural, which is one of her favorite shows at the moment. So it was perfect for her, for that age, for this time. So I will keep my 3-star rating because that's about what I would have enjoyed out of it. Even though I didn't finish it, I feel comfortable giving it that 3 stars. And like I said, maybe in the future I would try another book by the author just to see if it was a little different. I know how some authors, write a little young at sometimes, but then can bump it up and write for a little bit in the little bit older category. So maybe in the future I will give that a try. I will just read you the first line, and that is, "The grease-slicked hair is a dead giveaway. No pun intended." The next book that I read was We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 3.75 stars. I thought that the story wasn't going to be quite as touching as it was, and that really surprised me because when I started the book, I was a little hesitant. I read the first couple of chapters and I thought maybe I'm going to DNF this book because the dialogue between the teenage characters was a little juvenile. I just kind of rolled my eyes, like, I didn't talk like that when I was a teenager. Maybe other people do, but I just did not talk like that, and it just caused me not to want to finish. But I stuck with it because the writing, when it was not dialogue, was actually really beautiful, and the themes of the book were poignant and something that I think everyone could take something away from. So really enjoyed it. Would definitely read more books by this author, and just thought that the alien part, though, I didn't really like. The alien part, he referred to them as sluggers, and I don't know why that annoyed me, but it really just annoyed the crap out of me. I was like, why can't you just refer to them as aliens or something, extraterrestrials or something else other than sluggers? I don't know, just kind of that was one thing that really annoyed me. The story, like I said, wonderful. I will read you the first sentence. Actually, I don't even need to read it because I have memorized it, and that is, "Life is bullshit." And the final book that I read this week was Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the Live Ship Traders trilogy, book number 1. It was my first experience with Robin Hobb, and I really enjoyed it. I rated this book 4 stars. This is a book about these live ships. They are made out of this special wood, and they actually come to life and are able to communicate with their captains and crew, which I thought was a very, very unique premise for a fantasy book. I had never read anything like that, never read anything that had to do with pirates. There were pirate elements in here, pirate characters, so that was interesting to read about that. I thought the world was very complex. Not in a bad way, just there was a lot of elements to it, and I really enjoyed learning it. I will admit I was a little lost. I did find out after I read this book that there was a series that was in the same world, didn't have anything to do with these characters, I don't believe, but was in the same world, and maybe if I had read that series first, I wouldn't have been quite as lost as I am now, or maybe I would have, because I haven't read that series, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But just checking my notes, I will say the writing was really great. I really enjoyed the writing style. There were a couple of cons though, that's why it didn't get 5 stars from me. Those being that at times I felt like it was a little dense. It was a little slow in parts. It wasn't quite as flowing as I wanted it to be. I was reading this obviously while I was training, and maybe not the best book to read while you're starting something new because it was a long book. This book actually, between my training and just being tired and stuff, took me 4 days to finish, which for me, I know for some people 4 days to finish a book is normal, and I'm not saying that that isn't, but for me, it's not normal. For me, I normally finish a book within a day or 2. So for me to be on one book for 4 days was quite rare. I really did enjoy it though. I did enjoy the characters. I was pleasantly submersed. Sometimes I think the dialogue ran a little long. Like they were kind of repeating things here and there that I just thought could have been condensed a little better. Maybe instead of, I don't know how many pages this was, 800 and something pages, maybe instead of 800 and something, it could have been 750 if they just condensed a little bit of the dialogue. But I'm definitely going to be continuing with the series. After I finish this series, I'm going to move on, but also move back to the series that came before this, because like I said, had I read that, maybe I wouldn't have been quite so lost, but really enjoyed it. I will read you the opening sentence that says, Kenneth walked the tide line, heedless of the salt waves that washed around his boots as they licked the sandy beach clean of his tracks. Those are all of the books that I have for you this week. I was really happy that I could fit in as much reading as I did starting, this new job and studying and all of that. So I was very excited for that. If you guys have read any of these books, comment down below. Let me know what you thought of them. Let me know what you read this past week. I would really love to start some book conversations. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week and happy reading.